welcome back to my channel. My name is Baylee and this is Bagels Books. Today I'm going to be doing an unhauling some books off my shelf. I recently posted a book haul and it was like the last 6 months of all the books I've accumulated. So around when I was like writing all the books down to do that video, I was like, man, I need to get rid of some. So I just started going through my shelf and grabbing them. And so I have a stack here. Not in any order by any means, which I guess I could have done that, but I didn't. Are we surprised? We shouldn't be. So let me do that real quick. And the only reason I say that is because I have like series that I don't have together, which is silly. Okay, so like I said, not in any order or anything like that, but the first book I'm gonna get rid of, and these are all on my Pango. I believe it's Bagels Books. I have it linked in majority of my descriptions all the way at the bottom, I think. I might put this one higher up, but I do have all these books linked and I have them all for sale if you want. And it's just like, I don't think anything's over like $8. So if you've never been on Pango, I still suggest it. It's really cool. You can buy used books. I get some books from there. I got these 2 books on there for really cheap, and then they came to me in a few days, so it's really cool. And I mean, yes, they're used, but I mean, they show pictures, and so you kind of see what they're looking like. But anyway, Pango Books is really cool. So the first book I have on there is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. This is just a thriller book about this girl went to this camp when she was younger, and something happened. One of the campers died. Man, it's been a long time. I'm getting it also mixed up with this other book I read, The Summer of '99, because it's also at a camp. So now I'm trying to like distinguish the two from each other. Maybe this girl just went missing. I don't recall, but something terrible happened. And then the camp shut down, and this is years later. The camp is reopening, and she got invited to come. Yeah, I think the girl just went missing. So, this is when she got invited to come back to the camp because they were reopening it, and some weird stuff starts happening again, and they try to also figure out what happened to their friend a long time ago because they're back at the site of the scene. A lot of people, I don't know, this is not my favorite Riley Sager I've read, but it was still good. I want to say I gave it 3 stars. I mean, it kept me attentive and all that, but just not my favorite. Not my favorite ending, but it's still pretty good. I gave it 3 stars. It's just not something I'd want to reread, so I'm not keeping it. The next one is the Shadow and Bone series. So I have the first 2 here. This is by Leigh Bardugo. Very popular series. It is now a show on Netflix with 2 seasons. So we have Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm. I still have the 3rd one because I haven't read it, but once I read it, I'll get rid of it. But I just don't plan on rereading these either. I did like it. I think this was my in my adult life, I want to say this was like my first fantasy series I kind of grabbed because a coworker of mine said how much she loved them. So I picked them up and I did enjoy it. I think it kind of definitely got me to dip my toe back in fantasy, but since then I've just read other things that I like a lot more, and I don't see myself going back to these. Like her series, 6 of Crows, loved it. Loved that series. So I just didn't want to keep them, but it is really good, and it's a good starter for young people as well. And if you just haven't had a fantasy book or haven't read really fantasy series, and they're very pretty. They're very pretty. The next one I'm getting rid of is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I loved this book. Loved it. But sometimes when I'm in a cleaning mood, I'll just purge everything. So that is why I decided to get rid of this one. I was in a purging mood. I did love this book more than I think a lot of people. A lot of people didn't love this one, but I loved it. I just don't really think I'm going to reread it. But this is about this family. So it's the siblings. They grew up, their dad being I want to say he was a musician. I don't really know, but he's really famous. So these kids are like very much in the social scene. Like they're very famous. And so it starts out, they're having a house party, and you know that a fire is started. So then it goes back to like, I want to say the morning of or the morning before, not really sure. And it's kind of the sequence of events of the day that led up to the fire. And it also goes back in time a lot with their childhood because their dad wasn't around during their childhood, and so it was just their mom. I don't know. I just really thought it was a really beautiful story. I loved them going back in time and seeing them growing up and the sibling dynamic, and there's a lot of drama involved. That's going to happen with some famous people and a bunch of siblings, but I don't know. I really love this one. It's so perfect for summer because one of them is one, if not more, are professional surfers, so there's a lot of surfing talk, and they live on the beach. I just really love this one. It's beautiful. But I'm not going to rate it again. I don't think. Whew. This one was really hard for some reason, but I decided to finally get rid of this series, The Last Wave, The Fifth Wave. And I got rid of it because I don't know the name of it. No, I'm just kidding. So, growing up, I was really into dystopian series. Who wasn't, So I purchased this when it was really popular. And, there's a movie, The Fifth Wave. I don't think there is a second one, but I could be wrong. But I really enjoyed the movie growing up. I do not remember the order I read them. I don't remember if I read it before I watched it or watched it before I read it. I don't remember. But, I loved the movie. I love dystopianness. So I've had this series for a really long time. And I've only read the first one still. To this day, I've only read the first one. I think I started the second one a long time ago, but I just never finished it. Yeah, I don't have anything in here. So, these are, not even read, but I just don't see myself picking them up. I haven't in years. So, I'm just going to get rid of them. And if I ever do decide that I change my mind and I want to read them, I'll just get them from the library and I'll probably listen to them. I like listening to these things for some reason. I think it's just because recently I reread The Maze Runner and I listened to it and I just really enjoyed that. I just don't think this would be something I would sit down and read. I would listen to it more than likely. But the whole series, from what I remember, the first one being about is aliens come, and it's just the end of the world-ish, dystopian, end of the world-ish with aliens, and I want to say there's a romance. I'm going to be honest, I can't tell you a whole lot about it, but I do remember enjoying it, and I remember enjoying the movie, just never picked it back up. The next one I'm getting rid of is The Death of Jane Lawrence by Caitlin Starling. I recently did a vlog about this, and I've talked about this one, so I'm not going to explain it. Not that I've been doing a very good job of explaining any of these books anyway, but this one I've talked about a lot. So I was reading with my friend Caitlin. She recently finished it. She finished it at my house, actually. And we were talking about it. And in my video, I think I ended up talking myself into giving it 4 stars. But then talking to her, I've decided to give it 3 stars. Because when we were talking about it, I realized there are a lot of things I didn't think were fleshed out very well. I think the haunted house aspect was really cool, but I don't think there was enough of that. There was a lot of other things, and I wish it would have... I think it was just maybe trying to do too much. Maybe that's my problem with it, but definitely not something I'm going to want to read again because I struggled finishing this in the first place. But if you liked Crimson Peak, you might like this, or you like a slower burn story like that. Slower burns are just not my thing. I just need something to constantly be fast-paced. The next dystopian series I'm going to get rid of, Jordan, don't be mad at me, is the Maze Runner series. So, as you know, I've been rereading these, but I've been listening to them. So, I've decided to part with my physical copies because 1, I've already reread them. 2, I'm probably not going to reread them again. And if I ever decide to read them a 3rd time, I'll probably listen to them. So I'm going to get rid of my physical copies. I've had them for so long. I don't even want to think about how long, but it's time to part with them. I'm pretty sad about it, but it's time. It's time. And I've recently talked about this book on my channel too, so... And it's so popular. I just really don't think I need to explain it, but those are leaving me. This one is Night Film by, what's her name? Marisha. That's right. Pessl. This is a thriller, but like multimedia. I don't even know if it'd be a thriller. It's pretty dark. This, I would say, a dark thriller. So this really influential woman, something Cordova is her name, Ashley. She is found dead and has appeared to have like jumped from a building, but this investigative reporter doesn't believe it was a suicide. He thinks it's more fishy than that, and her father is a very, very famous director, Silas, I believe his name is, Cordova, and he has just had a lot of press around him his whole life, and, you know, investigations and just weird stuff going on. So he thinks whatever happened to the daughter is more directly related to her father, and so it's just him investigating it. It gets really dark, it gets really weird. But I did really enjoy the multimedia aspect of it. I really loved that, but it was a dense book, and there's just no way in heck I'm ever going to read this again. It took me forever to read it, but it is really good. I did really enjoy it, and I think I haven't read a ton of multimedia stuff, but I definitely think this was the best multimedia book I've ever seen. It's more than, you know, 4 pieces of multimedia in the book, and they call it multimedia. No, it's a lot, and it's really good, and it's very detailed, and it's beautiful. Beautiful. I just won't read it again. The next one is a thriller. It's The Couple Next Door by Shari Lapena. I've also talked about this on my channel. This married couple goes to their neighbor's house, which they live in a duplex, so it's like right there. They go over there one day for a dinner party, and on one of the times that the mom goes to check on the kid, because I think every hour, or maybe it's every 30 minutes, one of the parents would go check on the baby, and they had the monitor, whatever. Well, one of the times the mom went and checked, the baby wasn't there. So it's just kind of a thriller of what happened, and the parents are thought to be guilty, and then just a bunch of, it's a thriller. It was a good average thriller. It's just not something I'd read again, and not something I feel compelled to keep. The next one is Agatha Christie's The Mysterious Affair at Styles. This is the first Hercule Poirot book in that series, which there's a million of them. I read this in January. I did like it. I didn't like it as much as And Then There Were None that I've read from Agatha Christie, so not something I am compelled to keep, but it was a good little whodunit. I don't know if it was necessarily classified as a locked room thriller. I mean, it happened in the middle of the night, and there's only X amount of people who live in this home, so you can kind of assume it's one of them, so maybe. But the woman of this house is poisoned one night, found dead, and Hercule Poirot is brought into the investigation to figure out who did it, and he figures it out. But just kind of basic murder mystery written a long time ago. I think that was her first book, too. I think that was Agatha Christie's first book, so. The next one I'm getting rid of hurts a little bit. This is The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. This was crazy back in the day, and I only read it a few years ago, and it's a dang good thriller. It is a dang good thriller. I loved this one. I would say it was one of the first ones I've read that definitely got me like into thrillers, so this one's so good. This girl takes the train to work every day. While she's on the train, she notices this house. It's really nice, and she notices every day. And one day, she thinks she sees something. But problem is, she drinks a lot of alcohol and has like a lot of, like, we don't know if we can really trust her. So it's her trying to figure it out, but no one believes her. And kind of the original, I don't want to say unreliable narrator. I think it would be like the original one of those. So very good thriller. Very, very good. If you don't read a lot of thrillers or are new to thrillers, this is an OG. OG thriller, super good. But I just don't think I would reread it. The next one is The Devil All the Time by Donald Ray Pollock. This was a Netflix movie, so I wanted to read it before I watched the movie. And I'm going to be honest, I did not like this one. Most of these other books I enjoyed. I did not like this one. It was weird. I didn't understand what was going on. A lot of people love this one. It is about, man, I don't even remember, honestly. I honestly don't remember. I didn't love it. If you like the movie, maybe give it a go, but I just didn't like either one. I even tried to watch the movie because Tom Holland's in it. Couldn't do it. And the last one, this is Such Pretty Flowers by K.L. Cerra. I'm currently reading this, but I can already tell I'm not going to want to keep it. It's not something I'm going to want to reread. It's good. It's average. It's just not fast-paced enough for me. It's a little slower paced. I'm not getting as much information from this thriller that I want to get this far in. So once I'm done with this, which I plan on finishing today, I'll get rid of this one too. It's not on my Pango books yet, but it will be soon. This one's really new. It like just came out. So that is the last one. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.